Week 6 running back tiers. Jeffrey, let's get it started. Week 6 must-start running backs. Give me the list, Jeffrey.
Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, Kyron Williams, James Cook, Rico Dowdle, Ashton Jeanty, Breece Hall.
Let's get the obvious ones out of the way. Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, and Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't need to go into detail with them. You know why you're starting them. They're incredible. Let's talk about these other guys. I got Josh Jacobs at 2 this week. Love the matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, who allow the 4th most points to the running back position. And Josh Jacobs is going to run all over him. Most carries per game, most carries inside the 5 per game. So when they get in close, you know who's getting the ball. Javonte Williams still chilling in this must-start area. He's been a top 4 running back 3 of the last 5 games. Running back 4 on the year. It is a bad matchup, surprisingly, against the Carolina Panthers. They've been a top 5 defense against the running back, which, honestly, kind of surprised. But you're not sitting him in the 3rd highest over-under of the week. He's the 2nd most touchdowns on the year. I'm not overly concerned. Kyron Williams was incredible last week. He had 130 total yards and 2 of them things. He did have a bad fumble. That was unfortunate. But now he goes up against the Baltimore Ravens. One of the easiest matchups for any running back, allowing the 3rd most points to the running back position this year. Nice. James Cook had his first terrible game of the year. Less than 50 yards. Ran for 3.3 per carry. I mean, less than 5 PPR points is gross. And he gets another bad matchup this week. The Atlanta Falcons allow the 2nd fewest points to the running back position. Now, James Cook could always get into the end zone. He's involved in the passing game. It's just hurts his upside a bit. You're still starting him. It's just not as exciting. It is the 3rd highest over-under of the week. And Bills are upset coming off of a loss. I think they get a dub. Rico Dowdle was unbelievable last week. 23 carries for 206 rushing yards. Are you kidding me? And a touchdown. And he was even involved in the passing game. 3 receptions for 28 yards. That's crazy. And now with Chuba Hubbard out again, Rico Dowdle gets a goal up against the Dallas Cowboys, allowing the 2nd most points to the running back position in a revenge game? My goodness. Start this man. Where my chain at? 1 second. Found it. Ashton Jeanty came back to earth after his breakout game 2 weeks ago, where he scored 35 PPR points. Last week was okay, 14 carries for 67 yards. It's the 7 targets that I like, though. Love that. Now he gets the Tennessee Titans team that doesn't scare you. They're allowing the most points to the running back position, so Ashton Jeanty obviously a must start. Breece Hall had his 3rd straight game with 5 or more targets, and he had over 150 total yards. Nice. Now he gets the Denver Broncos, who aren't really dominant against the running back position, allowing them top 10 points for the running back. Breece should eat. Moving on to the solid starts, Jeffrey. Week 6 solid start running backs. Jeffrey?
Rashad White, Travis Etienne Jr., J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker III, Quinshon Judkins, Jackery Krosky Merritt.
Rashad White gets another week in the spotlight. Bucky Irving is out with a shoulder/foot injury. Rashad had a tough time on the ground last week, only rushing for 2.9 yards a carry. But if you look at the whole game, 70 total yards, 4 receptions, and 2 of them things. Them things is touchdowns. 2 of them things. Love to see it. You can fire him up again against the 49ers. They're middle of the pack against the running back. Travis Etienne had his first bad game last week. Less than 9 fantasy points, but it was against the Chiefs, so I'm not overly concerned. He's still 4th in total rushing yards. Now he gets a Seattle Seahawks team that's pretty good against the running back, not gonna lie. They're top 10. Yeah. I still think he's a solid start because he can always get it done, but not a great matchup. J.K. Dobbins is still clearly the #1 running back on this team. Dominated carries last week, 20-4. 5th in rushing yards, 4th in rushing touchdowns. Going up against the Jets, who are mid, I think he's a solid start. Kenneth Walker III is still completely splitting with Zach Charbonnet. I believe the carries were 10-9. He did do work with those 10. He got 86 yards, which is 8.6 yards a carry. But I like to see him more involved in the passing game. It was a bad matchup against the Bucs. Now he gets the Jaguars, a little more middle of the pack. I think he should be solid. Quinshon Judkins has been a top 12 running back in 3 straight weeks. He's a clear number 1 for his team, and he's had a touchdown in 2 of the last 3 weeks. The problem is this matchup is bad. Going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers started out leaky, but in the last 3 weeks, they've been a top 5 defense against the running back position. I still think he's a solid start, but I think his upside's capped a bit. Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt dominated last week, and he was the clear-cut number 1. I was hoping that I'd see that, and I did. He had 70% of the running back carries, which turned into 150 yards and 2 of them things. Love to see it. Now he gets the Bears, who allow the 5th most points to the running back position. Yeah, sign me up. Moving on to the flex plays. Week 6 running back flex plays. Give me the list, Jeffrey.
Derrick Henry, Jaylen Warren,
Michael Carter,
DeAndre Swift, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery.
Derrick Henry has been pretty disappointing this year. And with Lamar Jackson out, I don't see it getting much better this week. Yes, he stopped his fumbling. That's great. 2 games without a fumble. But he hasn't had more than 50 yards rushing since week 1. Ugh. He saved you last week with the touchdown, but I am concerned. If he doesn't get to the end zone, this is going to be tough. Derrick Henry's best when he's in games that they're winning, because then they run out the clock and they just run him. And it's hard to tackle a man like that over and over again. But they're 7-point underdogs. They're probably not going to be winning, which means you're probably going to be disappointed in Derrick Henry this week. That's why he's a flex play. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Jaylen Warren coming back from a knee injury. He was great and had the job pretty much to himself before, but Kenneth Gainwell balled out. He had over 130 yards and 2 of them things. I have a feeling they're going to be splitting work more now that he's coming back from an injury, because do they want to rush him to full workload? Kenneth Gainwell did prove a little bit of something, and it's Arthur Smith. He's going to use a committee. He did it to Bijan Robinson. He won't be afraid to do it to Jaylen Warren. Michael Carter turned out to be the guy. He played well. Over 70 yards and a touchdown, and he turned out to be the passing back. 5 for 5 in the air. They say they're not going to punish Amari DeMarcado, but I still think it's going to shift a little more Carter. Hey, Mr. Carter. DeAndre Swift is back from his bye. He's the clear-cut running back 1, but after a bye week, teams may shake some things up. So I'm curious to see if Kyle Guy gets more involved. But for right now, I see him kind of how I saw him before the season started. Low-end running back 2, high-end flex play. Alvin Kamara's been kind of rough. Bad offense, and now he has a bad matchup against the Patriots. I love that he's top 8 in opportunities, and he's had 5 or more targets in 3 of the last 4 weeks. That's great, but he's a little banged up, and they're getting Kendre Miller more involved. Is he banged up or is he on the move? I've heard some rumblings that Alvin Kamara may be shipped out of town. TBD. Tony Pollard is still the clear 1, even with Tajay Spears back. It seems like they're going to ease in Tajay Spears, so I'm not overly concerned at the moment. Tony had over 70% of the running back carries, so still clearly the guy. And he's 5th in carries on the year, which is great. He's getting a little more involved in the passing game. 3 straight games with 3 or more targets. I like that. And he goes up against the Raiders, who do not scare you. I think it's a good matchup. Not bad. David Montgomery has been a top 10 running back 2 of the last 3 weeks, with a nice dud in between there. He's also had a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games, plus a passing touchdown. It's not a great matchup going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, but it is the 2nd highest over-under, so I do like having players in these games. I think it's a solid flex play. Moving on to the questionable flexes. Week 6 questionable flexes at running back. Jeffrey?
Ramondre Stevenson, Treveon Henderson, Chase Brown,
Hassan Haskins. Ramondre Stevenson fumbled again. Dude, you gotta hold on to the ball. What are you doing? But he still ended up staying in the game and getting 2 of them things. Them things is touchdowns. 2 of them things. And with Antonio Gibson out for the year with a torn ACL, him and TreVeyon Henderson are gonna get more involved. Speaking of TreVeyon Henderson, I think that he's going to get a slightly bigger piece of the pie, but they clearly don't want to give him the whole pie. They want to split with Ramondre Stevenson, and I don't think that's going anywhere as long as Ramondre is healthy. So if you drafted him in the 4th, I'm sorry. You're going to have to wait a while. But he could always break a deep run. Chase Brown has not had 50 yards rushing all year long and hasn't had a touchdown since week 1. Luckily, they just got Joe Flacco. I actually think Joe Flacco makes this offense better, so I do think that Chase Brown increases a little bit. Maybe more dump-offs from Joe Flacco, not wanting to get hit behind that terrible offensive line. But I think that they're going to score more points. He might throw some picks, but I do think he's going to sling it and they'll be in the red zone. If they're in the red zone, he might get a rushing touchdown. Fingers crossed. Hassan Haskins is a questionable flex. I don't know who's going to get more touches between him and Kilmani Vidal, but I do think that he gets more carries, at least by a little bit. He's more of the traditional back. I'm not overly excited to start him, but he's definitely worth being rostered. Plus, this is a good offense. He can fall into the end zone. Curious to see how the kid does. Moving on to the backups. Week 5 running back backups. Kareem Hunt.
Zach Charbonnet, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco,
Kenneth Gainwell, Kilmani Vidal, Kendre Miller, Rashad Smith, Justice Hill, and Tyler Algier. All these guys are solid to hold on to. Great backups, except for Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Rashad. There's too many mouths. You're all basically backups until one of you prove that you're going to be the guy. But all of these guys should be rostered. Half of them are, half of them aren't. I'd grab somebody before the week starts. You never know who gets banged up. Kenneth Gainwell, I think, gets more involved because of his performance last week. Kilmani Vidal could be the guy that's the lead running back for the LA Chargers. Between him and Haskins, it's kind of a coin flip. Kendre Miller's getting more work every week. Rashad Smith splitting work with Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, but he still got some juice. They kind of need that. Justice Hill's good for when they're losing, which will be this week. And Tyler Algier is one of the best handcuffs in the league. He gonna do work if Bijan ever goes out. Week 6 running back tiers. Must starts.
Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, Kyron Williams, James Cook, Rico Dowdle, Ashton Genty, Breece Hall,
Solid starts.
Rashad White, Travis Etienne Jr., J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker III, Quinshon Judkins, Jackery Krosky Merritt,
Flexes.
Derrick Henry, Jalen Warren,
Michael Carter.
DeAndre Swift, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery,
Questionable flexes.
Ramondre Stevenson, Treveyon Henderson, Chase Brown,
Hassan Haskins. And backups. Kareem Hunt.
Zach Charbonnet, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco,
Kenneth Gainwell. Kilmani Vidal. Kendre Miller. Rashad Smith. Justice Hill. And Tyler Algier. So that's going to do it for my running back tiers. Who do I have too high? Who do I have way too low? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and the notification bell down below. Hit me up if you have any questions. I'll see you soon, Bay Nation. Peace.